Snow had always been Clara Reynolds's reminder of both beauty and loss. For every year as evergreen hills glistened under white blankets and cheerful lights, her heart carried the shadow of what she once had and what she let slip away. Clara was the daughter of the town's beloved baker, a woman who spent her days crafting gingerbread houses and spiced loaves that made the whole street smell like warmth. Yet despite her small-town roots, she had once dreamed of something bigger: traveling the world, chasing love and adventure, and escaping the heavy expectations of family. When she was younger, she had found those dreams reflected in Daniel Hart, a boy whose laughter could light up a room and whose determination promised a future beyond their sleepy town. But life, as it often does, twisted their path. Clara's father fell gravely ill, and the bakery, struggling under debts, became her duty. Daniel, restless and determined to chase opportunities, left town with a promise to return. Years passed, promises faded, and Clara hardened her heart, convincing herself that love was a luxury she could no longer afford. On the Christmas Eve when this story begins, Clara was standing in the bakery with her sleeves rolled up, flour dusting, her cheeks like snow when the door creaked open. She looked up expecting a customer, and instead, her breath caught in her throat. Daniel stood there, older, sharper around the edges, but still carrying those same steady eyes she had once memorized. His hair was touched with frost from the storm outside, and when he smiled, it was hesitant, almost apologetic. Clara's chest tightened, the years between them collapsing in a single heartbeat, yet she forced herself to straighten. "Daniel," she said, her tone colder than she intended. He simply nodded. "Hello, Clara. It's been a while." The weight of unsaid words filled the room. She wanted to ask why he had returned. Why now, when she had worked so hard to bury him in the past? Instead, she muttered something about the festival and returned to kneading dough. But Daniel didn't leave. He asked about the bakery, about her father, and when she faltered at the mention of her father's passing, his expression softened. "I'm sorry," he whispered, and for a moment, Clara almost saw the boy she once loved. That night, Clara found herself at Evergreen's annual Christmas festival, not by choice, but because her friend Miriam dragged her out, claiming she needed fresh air. The festival glowed with lights strung between trees, stalls of hot cider, and carols sung in the crisp night. Clara tried to focus on the festivities, but her eyes kept finding Daniel across the square, speaking to neighbors, laughing, with children, as if he had never left. The town hadn't forgotten him, even if she tried to. Their gazes collided once, and he crossed the square with that same stubborn courage she remembered. "Dance with me," he asked, as the band played a soft tune. Clara shook her head, but Daniel didn't move. "Please, just one dance, for old times." Against her better judgment, she agreed. As his hand rested carefully against her back, old memories stirred, and Clara hated how easily her heart remembered him. "Why are you here, Daniel?" she finally asked. His jaw tightened. "Because I realized what I left behind mattered more than anything I went searching for." The confession unsettled her, stirring anger and longing alike. Before she could reply, a sudden scream cut through the night. People rushed toward the frozen pond where children had been skating. Clara's heart lurched as she saw a small figure struggling beneath the ice. Without hesitation, Daniel tore through the crowd, plunging into the freezing water. Gasps filled the air as he disappeared under the cracked surface, the seconds stretching into eternity. Clara's chest burned as she prayed he would resurface. Finally, Daniel emerged, dragging the child into his arms. Helpers rushed forward with blankets, the crowd cheering as the child coughed to life. Clara's relief was short-lived when she saw Daniel shivering violently, his lips pale, and guilt struck her for ever doubting his courage. Later, as the doctor checked him over at the festival's first aid tent, Clara lingered nearby. "You could have died," she scolded, voice trembling. Daniel gave a weak laugh. "I couldn't just stand there. That's never been me." And, for the first time in years, Clara felt the truth. This was still the boy she had loved, only braver, stronger, and even more impossible to ignore. In the days that followed, Daniel remained in town, helping the festival committee, repairing, decorations blown away by the storm, and even stopping by the bakery to lend a hand. At first, Clara resisted his presence, keeping their conversations polite, short, distant. But Evergreen Hills was small, and the more she saw him, the more the walls she built began to crack. They laughed together once more, remembering old stories. He teased her about her cinnamon rolls still being the best in town, and she teased him about never learning patience. Yet beneath their laughter lingered an unspoken truth. Too much had happened to simply fall back into what they once were. Clara feared the pain of losing him again. Daniel feared he had already lost her for good. Then, one snowy evening, as Clara closed the bakery, she found Daniel waiting outside. He was quiet for a long time, his breath forming clouds in the winter air. Finally, he said, "I left this town chasing a dream, Clara, but all I found was emptiness. Every Christmas, no matter where I was, I thought about you. I thought about this place. I realized too late that love isn't something you leave behind hoping it'll wait forever." Clara's throat tightened. She wanted to believe him, but memories of nights she cried alone made her wary. "And what happens if you leave again?" she whispered. Daniel stepped closer, his voice steady. "I'm not leaving, not this time, because I've finally come home." Suspense thickened the days leading to Christmas morning. Clara wrestled with doubt, torn between the safe familiarity of solitude and the dangerous hope of love reborn. She visited her father's grave, kneeling in the snow, confessing her fears to the man who had once told her that love was worth every risk. As if in answer, snow began to fall gently, covering the world in white, a reminder of purity, of second chances. Clara returned to town that evening, heart still trembling, only to find Daniel standing by the Christmas tree in the square, stringing lights with children gathered around. When their eyes met, something inside her finally broke free. That night, Evergreen's candlelight service filled the church with music and warmth. Clara sat beside Daniel, their shoulders brushing, and as the bells rang out midnight, she turned to him. Her voice was soft but unwavering. "I was so afraid to love you again. But I don't want to live half a life anymore." His eyes shone as he reached for her hand. "Then don't," he replied simply. And in that quiet moment, surrounded by flickering candles, the choir's song, and the hush of falling snow, Clara understood what her heart had been waiting for. Christmas morning dawned with brilliance, sunlight dancing off icicles, and the town gathered in the square, exchanging gifts and laughter. Clara and Daniel walked hand in hand, their love no longer bound by the past, but strengthened by it. The miracle wasn't just that he had returned, or that a child's life was saved. It was that against fear, regret, and time, love had found its way back. Clara knew the road ahead wouldn't be perfect, but for the first time in years, she welcomed the uncertainty. For in Daniel's presence, she had discovered that miracles weren't about magic or chance. They were about courage, forgiveness, and the choice to love again. And so, in the little town of Evergreen Hills, beneath the glow of Christmas lights and the harmony of bells, two hearts were mended, proving that miracles and romance truly do come alive when love is brave enough to fight for its place.